Welcome to Tectonic Shift, presented by the League Digest. In this series, we follow Tectonic through their journey in the OPL, showing off highlights from their games, then jumping into a one-on-one interview with one of the members of the team. This week, we watched Tectonic battle it out against Avant Gaming in Week 10 of the OPL.
Line goes to Zach, but he is going to get taken down. And already they're in full-blown retreat. Praedyth will be able to go forward, will be able to get another kill, looking for the third. Once again.
Then we move on to an interview with Tectonic's long-standing midlaner, Shok. We find out how he got into becoming a pro gamer, his struggles since making it into the OPL, and much, much more. So when you do things like, what was it, when Tectonic beat Chiefs, did you get any messages from friends like, what are you guys doing?
I did. Yeah, I definitely got some like, holy shit, what just happened? That was real good.
I'm Sushix, welcome to Tectonic Shift. Let's just jump straight into it. With Shok back in the lineup, the boys had pride to play for in their series against Avant this week, with their place in the relegation tournament already confirmed. In the battle of the carrying mid laners, Shok on LeBlanc traded kills with Frey, but as the game went on, the pressure of Frey's Akali was too much for the rest of Tectonic to handle. Although Udasoft did a great job of trying to equalize objectives while Avant was pressuring areas of the map, a botched teamfight in the mid lane snowballed the game out of Tectonic's control as they suffered a Game 1 defeat. Game 2, however, gave us one of the most exhilarating finishes in the OPL this year. While Udasoft got caught early after a nice ethereal chain, this time from Frey's LeBlanc, 2 kills into Value's Jhin got the game rolling for Tectonic. While the game was in balance for the first 22 minutes of the game, the Zillion Morgana combo on Tectonic meant they were almost impossible to lock down and kill. A 4-for-0 fight after Trance got picked at Baron netted Tectonic the buff, an inhib, and a 9k gold lead. As Avant stemmed the bleeding coming into the second Baron, Praedyth split pushed in the bot, almost unkillable with his 4-0 stat line. He just stuck in the bot lane as Avant tried to punish Tectonic in the 4v5, but great stalling from Tectonic allowed Praedyth enough time to break into Avant's base. Darkside and Frey teleported back, only to be melted by the Rune Mage, as Praedyth netted Tectonic the Game 2 victory. And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. With Praedyth on his rise again, Tectonic tried to replicate their Game 2 success. However, with plenty of pressure from Praedyth, Praedyth wasn't able to get a foothold in the early game. While he came storming back in the late game, trading bot inhib for Avant's Baron, a clean ace from Avant after he was forced to defend the base put the series win out of Tectonic's reach.
Babu is so damn tanky. Double kill will be picked up for Praedyth, and this will be Avant Gaming securing the 2-1 victory.
While it was a disappointing result, the two teams will be meeting again in the promotion tournament to fight for their survival in the OPL, where you can be assured that Tectonic won't be making the same mistakes again. Moving on this week, I sat down with Tectonic's mid laner Shok to see how he became a pro gamer and what he's gone through to get to where he is today.
So I'm Shok, mid laner for Tectonic. My real name is Ari, like the champion. It's a pretty cool name, I think. I was born in New Zealand, and yeah, I don't know what else to say about myself.
How'd you get started with gaming?
I played games like as a kid when I was like really young. My dad said I was playing like some Thomas the Tank Engine game when I was like 3. And so gaming's always been like a really core part of my life, but I always played games for fun until I was like maybe around 12-ish. I started like getting really big into StarCraft 2 at the time, and I played that for quite a long time, and I think that was when I'd always been competitive like as a person, but I'd never really kind of taken the step to mastery, you know, to like really focus on doing one thing and just like being real good at it. And so like playing StarCraft was the first time I got low master tier, which I'm not sure what that confers to. It's probably like mid diamond in comparison. So yeah, I got like fairly high rank, and it was the first time I'd always like kind of wanted to be a video gamer, like, you know, video game tester or something like that as a kid. But that's when I thought, oh, maybe I could like, you know, like try to get kind of good and like be a pro gamer or whatever. And so originally I thought I was gonna try go pro in StarCraft, and at the time I actually really hated League. I thought it was like, you know, like you control one character as opposed to like a base and all these units. I thought it was like super basic, and it's just like, yeah, game for noobs kind of thing. And then when I was like about 14, all my friends were playing League, and I was getting real lonely on StarCraft by myself. So I played like quite a lot of World of Warcraft too, but like never that competitively. And so anyway, I started playing League with my friends, and quite quickly realized they were all real shit, and so was I. Season 6, I hit Challenger for the first time, and I was around 400 points, I think, when I first got into OOL, so Oceanic Open League, I think it is. And I played on a team with Paprise, actually, so later my teammate, and Mr. Eyes, Det, and John Riggy, I think. And that was my first time playing League in a competitive sense, other than like rank 5s or whatever. And that's when I first like I suppose I realized how different it is to play competitive as to solo queue, because like you always hear about it, but then you like look at Korea and it's like actually a completely different game. Like even than Oceanic competitive, it's like really nothing like it. But going from the mindlessness, I suppose, of solo queue to like learning to communicate and like drafting and just stuff like that, it was like, yeah, it was. I'm really glad I got exposed to all that really early on, and then that didn't go too well. I was pretty much like still a 2-trick at this point. I think I was playing like Cassiopeia, Zillion, and Ari. I think those were like pretty much the only 3 champs I was playing, and I just like, they banned my 3 champs, and then I'd play like Victor and I'd do okay, but I was nothing special. And then that was the year of NZGC that I played in. That was at the end of the year, and during the time between OOL and NZGC, I had climbed to 1000 LP, mostly playing Zillion, so I wouldn't have actually considered myself an 1000 LP player at the time, but I'd also like expanded my champ pool a lot. I remember I played a lot of Syndra, which I had like never really played before that, and I actually got really good at Victor for the time. And yeah, so I basically just like became a lot more well-rounded after realizing how shallow I was as a player after playing competitive. So yeah, I try to like plug the gaps I had, I guess. And then NZGC went really, really well for most of it. I played with Shoulder Raven, Bill, KO, and Decoy. So Decoy is now in Legacy, and we were a pretty good team, and I think we won every series except for the finals, which we lost 0-2, which was kind of like an upset win for the other team. So obviously I was like really, really crushed at the time, but I like think I performed well personally. But you know, you don't think about that when you lose. Just losing feels bad regardless of like whether you play well or not. And yeah, so like playing in front of a live crowd, in front of my parents, like I said, it like really legitimized it for them. And I really, even though I lost, it was it made me very sure of this is what I wanted to do kind of thing. There was nothing like playing in front of like the crowd and having people come up to you afterwards even though you lost and saying, you know, like you played really well, and they like wanted pictures with you, and that it was like, I remember like this kid, it's like 5-year-old kid wanted a picture with the pro players, and it was like so heartwarming at the time.
Wait, when was the last time you were back at home, kind of with your family?
I came back very briefly during the Rift Rivals break, but I was here for like a really short amount of time. And then before that, it had been before going to Korea, so like April or something like that. Yeah.
And what's it like?
It's been a while.
Kind of with being back with the family after being, you know, spending all of your time in a house full of gamers.
They have a lot of questions. I actually feel like I don't want to say I feel like lonely, because I don't feel lonely, but you do miss like being with the boys or whatever. And there's like, you miss the banter and stuff in the house, or at least I miss that.
Do you have many friends back in New Zealand that you've been catching up with, or?
Yeah.
You got your New Zealand boys?
Yeah, definitely don't haven't haven't like kept in touch with them that much though. After, like I'm still good friends with them, but after high school and like coming into league pro play, there just like wasn't that much time. So yeah, a lot of people that I were like really good friends with, I don't really talk to that much anymore, which is kind of a shame.
Do you have anyone from high school in New Zealand that follow what you do or watch the OPL and stuff like that and think it's cool?
Yeah, yeah, I have like a few friends that still watch. I like that.
When you do things like, what was it, when Tectonic beat Chiefs, did you get any messages from friends like, what are you guys doing?
I did. Yeah, I definitely got some like, holy shit, what just happened? That was real good.
What was, that's maybe something good to talk about real quick. What happened that week that was so different to the remainder of the split?
Honestly, I really don't know. Like in that week, we lost pretty much every scrim we played. So, and I actually remember like the night before we said that this game didn't matter too much because Chiefs were like the top seeded team. So it doesn't really matter too much about beating them. It matters like winning the other games. And then coming into that day, just like 2-0ing Chiefs was pretty unreal at the time.
Did you start to think that like, oh, maybe you guys are like able to compete with the top dogs and finish really high,
well,
or?
that was, see, we 2-0'd Order first and then lost to Direwolves, and that's when I was kind of thinking like Direwolves are pretty good, but maybe it was still a fluke. And then we 2-0'd Chiefs, so at that time I was like, wow, maybe we like really have a chance to split.
What's the team sort of morale been like in the past 3, 4, 5 weeks?
I definitely wouldn't say it's been great, to be honest. It's really hard to go from like, winning 2 really big series 2-0 and then to like pretty much losing almost every game after that. And on top of that, we had, a lot of changes. There's, Johnny left and then we got into Zoo. And I think Zoo's been really good. And there was a jungle change as well, and then the top change. So yeah, there's been a lot of like turmoil in the team, and I'd say morale is starting to pick up again now, but yeah, I think it was really pretty bad there for a while.
How do you, what do your parents think about everything? I mean, when you started pro play, what happened?
My first like experience of some sort of pro play was NZGC. So for people that don't know, it's New Zealand Gaming Championship, and that was 2016, end of 2016, and that was, before that, they had been like kind of supportive at times, and then like at other times like really not supportive, but like playing at the Motat Arena and like in front of like a live crowd that they were a part of, really, I think I've said this before, like really legitimized gaming to them, and from then on they've been nothing but supportive.
So what was it like during those times you mentioned where they maybe weren't so supportive? What was happening there?
Oh, well, like when I was originally like as a kid, before I was like 12, I could like play on the like PC as much as I wanted pretty much, and then when I was around 12, my parents decided that I like needed to have other interests or something, and so that's when I was introduced to computer time, and that was a real struggle for me because I'd gone from playing like, as much as I wanted to like limited to 2 hours a day, and eventually they like just like slowly relaxed it, and I think realized it's like really want to do what I want to do. Yeah.
How do you feel? So you're talking about your team morale is maybe picking up a bit after how the past few weeks have gone. Do you feel confident going into relegations, or are you genuinely sort of a bit worried?
It's kind of like hard to know, honestly, because I think personally I definitely felt that after after I got sick in week 9, I think I really like, I didn't play League for like 7 days, and I was like, really, really like sick and tired and everything. And after I came back from that, I think my form was like really poor, So, like, going against AV in week 10, I really, like, personally felt like not very confident at all. I didn't feel like I was playing nearly as good as I was before, and that really sucked because it felt like there wasn't anything I could do about it. But now that I've had time to like reacclimate and like play a lot, personally I feel quite confident in how I stack up against the other mid laners in relegations. I personally think I'm the best of them. And then in terms of the teams, I think stylistically we actually match up pretty well against Avant, and that's our first match. So while I wouldn't be confident we're like 100% gonna beat them or anything like that, I think with like the improvements Zoo is helping us make, I feel like we at least have like a pretty decent chance against them. And then Chiefs Acad is really, I'm not really sure what to think of them. I'm like friends with like quite a few of their players. I think they're pretty inconsistent, to be honest, and a lot of them haven't played on stage before, which I actually think is going to be a pretty big factor, because I remember my first game on stage and numerous other people's first games on stage. It's not like they play much worse, but they're definitely like a little timid or more scared than they need to be. And I feel like the playmaker of your team or whatever, that's like not something you can afford. So yeah, I think that match really depends on how well they do with like their first time on stage. So I guess to summarize, just that I feel reasonably confident going in.
So as myself being a diamond mid laner who's heading to Korea for Worlds this year, what advice do you have for me to make the most out of Korean solo queue? If I come back to OS and take your position on Tectonic.
There's conflict of interest answering this question.
Yeah.
But,
all right, I'll take someone else's position. I'll go on another team.
Okay. I would say for anyone going to boot camp in Korea is really important. Honestly, like if you want to do well, I would honestly say like before going to Korea, you need to like actually learn how to play around the jungler and just like making sure your wards are like really good, because Korean junglers are so much more aggressive than Oceanic junglers. Like before going to Korea, when I was in Korea, I actually couldn't believe that I ever complained about Oceanic junglers, because I was just like suddenly like Camille jungle is ganking my lane like every 2 minutes, and I was just like dying over and over. There were like games I just go like 1-7, felt like I couldn't do anything about it. So like yeah, if you're like looking to do well, I think playing around the jungler is like a really important skill to learn. And then if you're actually just looking to learn as much as you can in Korea, I would say keep a really specialized champ pool, like play only like 3 or 4 champs and just play them a lot and really like have your limits tested on those champions, and use that for when you like come back to be able to you just like learn a lot about your role, and then use that skill and that knowledge you have on those champions to like expand your knowledge of other champions. Because like for example, if you can play like Syndra, for example, really well, it's like not a stretch that you can also play like Orianna, say, like quite well. Or it's like same thing, if you can like kind of play Zed pretty well, you can probably play Talon pretty well too. So if you like just focus on a really like small amount of champion, even if they're like all mages or whatever, if you're like really good at 4 mages, it's like probably a given that you could play all the mages, you know? You just like need to translate your skills to them. So yeah, just like keep your champion pool small. I just, thanks to all the people that support me, all the fans and like family and that, and special thanks to my girlfriend Kira, who's like really helped me when like a lot of times I was just like real sad and things weren't going so well. But yeah, thanks to everyone for being there, and I hope we don't let you down in relegation.